Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome. We've been having some new listeners coming on, so that's pretty exciting. Welcome if you're new. If you're not new, welcome back. And I wanted to cover a couple things before we get started with our topic of the day. For our Reads and Recovery Book of the Month, don't forget, it is October 23rd, probably the 24th by the time you hear this. And our book of the month is called An Anthropologist on Mars, 7 Paradoxical Tales by Oliver Sacks. So I just finished it. I am a listener. I listened to the book on Audible and I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to give you my review right now, but I'm telling you, I think it's worth a listen to. It's fascinating. It goes into the fascinating world of our complex brains and some of the disorders that people have. It's quite interesting, I thought. And then it is not lost on me that we did not do a listener challenge this month. I am fully aware, and I apologize if you are so disappointed that you're going to stop listening. Then farewell. I have enjoyed having you. Otherwise, we're gonna pick that back up in November. It slipped my mind is all. And then I got halfway through the month and I was like, man, we can do whatever the hell we want to do here, right? So that's that. And so our topic of the day is sleep. And the topic yesterday got a lot of engagement, and that does not surprise me. I think what I was thinking about today is just how many of us from my high school are alcoholics. Um, how many that I have been interacting with since I got sober that have reached out to me here and there and said either I have a problem or my spouse has a problem, and they're from my high school. So it's fascinating how many people there are. And it really just gives me even more, perseverance to do this thing because I don't want to lose another one. We have lost friends that they didn't have to die. And it's not just about that. It's about living with joy. It's about not ever going back to the place I was and using that pain that I experienced, using that terrible, terrible time in my life for good and sharing about it and hoping that other people are can get to the solution faster, can hear the solution faster. I feel very fortunate that I got into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous because there was really 2 people in my life that knew about it, that had experienced it. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have gotten here. They literally walked me into the rooms holding my hand because I was just a trembling, absolute mess. I couldn't have done it without them. Both of those people have passed. And I just hope that and I know I am making them proud by continuing to show up for myself every day. In light of the terrible, terrible place that I was in my life, I wanted to talk a little bit about rest and sleep. And those are actually two different things. I have learned in stroke recovery, but a little bit about what it was like when I was not sleeping, why I didn't sleep. So I wanted to talk about that as well and what that feels like to just not want to go to bed. Why do we do that? Why do we not want to go to bed? Why do we stay up, stay up, even if you're not an alcoholic? I have a friend of mine who just stays up until she just knows she has to go to sleep or she's going to be miserable the next day. And she's not up drinking. Why do we do that? Um, for me, it's like I don't want to go to bed because for some reason in the evenings when I'm alone and it's dark outside, it's like the shades have been drawn over my problems. I know that I don't have to do anything right now. It's like the responsibilities of my life um, get to go to sleep. Everything gets to, but I don't have to go to sleep. They go to sleep with the night. As the night falls, so do all of my problems. And I get to be in this space where everything is kind of okay. Um, if I go to sleep, then I have to get up again tomorrow, and all my problems are going to be right there on my nightstand. For those of you who are lifetime listeners, you know that I heard somewhere and love this idea of don't take your problems to bed. And I heard once in an AA meeting, somebody said, I just put my problems on my nightstand. I don't take them to bed with me. I don't keep them in my head and lay them down with me on my pillow. I put them on my nightstand so that I don't have to think about them while I'm falling asleep. They'll be there when I get up in the morning. And I love that idea. It takes practice. It's very similar to the God box where you're putting whatever it is you want to let go of writing it down on a piece of paper and putting it in the God box and shutting the lid. It's very similar, only you're putting them on your nightstand. I suppose you could have your God box on your nightstand and do it that way. But it's it's a great way of falling asleep when you're sober. You know, when I was drinking, I didn't have to do any of that because I would just drink till I couldn't even make sense of my problems. I couldn't even think of my problems. I couldn't think of anything but how drunk I was. I was just like a zombie. You know, I would drink until I would pass out. And it seemed like over the years that I was drinking, that got later and later. I needed more and more alcohol in order to get me to pass out. So there was a time when I was still married. Now, I'm just going to use this as an example, but I talked to you guys yesterday about being a drunk mom. So this is another example that I'm not regretful, right? I talked about yesterday. This is something that just strengthens my resolve to stay sober. So what I would do is I was having marital problems. And so I was sleeping in the guest room. and I was drinking boxed wine. Okay, that was my drink of choice was boxed wine, Vella Chardonnay. So I would go downstairs and fill up my glass. I hadn't quite figured out at that point that I could just bring the box upstairs with me. I learned that later. I learned that a decade later. But I would go downstairs and fill up my glass, and then I'd go upstairs into the guest room, and I ended up like moving a TV into the guest room. I ended up trying to learn how to knit. I'm doing all of these things so that I can keep drinking and stay up as late as I possibly could. So I got to the point where I was actually, and this is going to break my family's heart when you hear this, but I was at the point where I was drinking so much before I went to bed that I was filling up my glass and then I was crawling up the stairs because I couldn't walk. I was crawling up the stairs to the guest room to to get back in bed to drink more. I mean, it's a miracle that I'm alive. It really is. It's a miracle that I'm alive. Um, and I didn't do that just once. I did it every night. Every single night. There was not, I drank every single night. There's only just a few, I don't even know if it's a few. I know one night that I didn't drink because I did an Avon walk, and this was later. This is actually after my husband and I had divorced, but I did an Avon walk in DC, and we stayed in tents that night. And of course, there was nowhere to get wine, so I thought about putting it in my bag, but I thought somebody would know it. I don't know, so I didn't do it that night. So that night I didn't have alcohol, but it's just an example of what I would do um, when I was drinking and how I didn't want to go to sleep. And there were times like when I was dating my current husband, um, we would have some drinks together. He would end up going to sleep at a normal, reasonable time. And I would just keep drinking throughout the night. And he would wake up and see that I was still awake, and I would just keep drinking through the night. Um, yeah. Why? Why was I doing that? Because, well, because I didn't want to ever be sober. That was one. Two, my problems were going to overwhelm me again in the morning once I started to be sober again, once the alcohol started leaving my body. And actually, when I would start sobering up, my problems were tenfold because I had so much anxiety, trembling, and all of my chemicals were just totally screwed up. None of my anxiety medication was working, nothing like that. So I didn't want to go to sleep because I didn't want to wake up. And believe me, it seems like I was trying to get to the point where I wasn't going to wake up in the morning. And that's terrible to say, but when I look back on it, um, I don't know why I did wake up. Towards the end of my drinking, I started taking pills with my drinking because the alcohol then wasn't enough. Just like as time went on, I had to drink more and more and more in order to get to feel drunk. And then eventually, there was no amount of alcohol that could get me to feel as drunk as I needed to. So I started taking my prescription pills not as prescribed. And again, I don't know. I don't know how I'm here, really. Um, so it's a lot of terrible stuff, but I want to talk about it because if it resonates with you, then you won't feel like you're alone, you know? Um, what I heard today in my morning meeting is that when we're drinking like that and we're not sleeping, we're not even aware of how sleep deprived we are. And the literature said today about how that drinking is numbing us so much to the point that um, we can't feel that our body is suffering. So I thought that that was interesting. I There was a time okay, so during that time that I was drinking so much that I was crawling up the stairs, my kids were about three. I think my daughter was three, which would make my son seven at that time, which is scary. If anything had gone wrong in the house, I didn't have the wherewithal to probably do anything at that point because I couldn't even walk. Um, During this time, I think that I didn't want to go to sleep because I didn't want to wake up because I didn't want to face my marriage. You know, I think that that's what was happening in my head. Um, but I think that there was a deeper problem than that. I think that the problem was not specifically and only isolated to my marriage. The problem was within me. The problem was that I'm an alcoholic. I was not drinking because my marriage is bad. I wasn't drinking to the point of crawling up the stairs because my marriage was bad. I was doing that because I'm an alcoholic. There is, when I first got sober, I did blame my alcoholism on the troubles in my life. And I hear that a lot. And a lot of times it's relationships that cause us to drink. And over early sobriety, as I worked the steps, I started to learn that none of these things made me drink. I drank because I'm an alcoholic. And I can remember way, way back in middle school when I first had my first drinks and high school, and I was drinking alcoholically from the very beginning. I remember going to a party when I was in high school, and it was like the biggest party, probably the biggest party I ever went to in high school. And it was being held by one of my friends. And she wasn't one of my close friends, but we were friends. And her parents were out of town. Hmm? So many people came to her house. I mean, the house was destroyed. I heard it was just terrible. But I got so drunk that I couldn't drive home. And my brother, so when I was a freshman in high school, my brother was a senior, and my brother was at the party, which that only happened a couple times. So he saw that I had been drinking too much. I mean, I don't think I even planned on like not drinking a certain amount because I was driving. I just went to town and just drank as much as I wanted to, and I was completely drunk. And my brother was like, "Did you drive here?" And I said, "Yeah." And he was like, "How are you getting home?" I was like, "I'm driving." And he was so mad at me. He was so mad at me. Fast forward, this is the same brother. I only have one who was waiting for me outside of the Reno airport to pick me up from a flight while I went straight from my gate into a bar and started drinking. So that's the same brother that was probably even more mad than he was back in high school. But you know, I just none of it mattered. Sleep didn't matter. Food didn't matter. Um, my life didn't matter. The alcohol mattered. That's all that mattered to me. Um, so I have spent a lot of years not getting enough sleep, a lot of years. And in the evenings, my husband and I sit down and he reads me the news. It's very adorable, I know. And so tonight he read something that said people who don't get enough sleep in their 40s suffer for that, suffer the consequences later in life or something like that. And he was like, "Oh no," because he doesn't really sleep very well. But I'm thinking, well, okay, I got sober when I was 42, so that's pretty good. But I probably didn't sleep from the age of 40 to the age of 42. Um, truly, I probably didn't sleep hardly at all. I was sleeping like 1 to 2 hours a night, I think. Um, if that resonates with any of you, you're not alone. The other thing we talked about this morning was drinking dreams. And I have a lot of drinking dreams. I still have drinking dreams. Earlier in sobriety, they did not shake me up. Sorry, earlier in sobriety, they did shake me up. And I would wake up and be like, oh my God, am I still sober? What happened? Oh, that was a dream, but it would take a couple minutes for me to like realize what was real and what wasn't real. And this happened so much. I think every night I had a drinking dream or in the beginning. Today, I still have drinking dreams. A lot of times I can't explain it, but like I know I'm dreaming, so I know I'm allowed to do whatever I want in the dream. It's some sort of something my brain has worked out so that I can enjoy myself in my dreams, but not in real life. Sometimes I wake up still and I'm like, yeah, okay, that was a dream. Um, Sometimes it still does shake me up. Uh, I hear a lot of people talk about drinking dreams and how it makes them feel like they're not standing on a strong sobriety foundation. And what I heard today is that drinking dreams are a good thing. Okay. I think the way I heard it was, um, sorry, my mind's going blank. That's what happens. For you newcomers, I have a cognitive issue from my stroke. So sometimes I have big, gigantic, uh, mine goes blank. It's coming back. Let's see. Okay. It's a good thing to wake up and be shooken up about having a drinking dream. That's what I heard. It's a good thing when you wake up and you're like, oh my God, am I still sober? Because that means that your subconscious really gets it, that this disease is severe uh, and that you need to not drink. I'm sorry. I am totally losing my train of thought. That's terrible. That's terrible. But we're just going to keep going. It doesn't matter because that's what we do here. So today I love to sleep. And sometimes, so I have to sleep like I was taking a nap every day because of my stroke. I get really fatigued. It's a fatigue that I've never felt in my life. It's a fatigue like I'm just gonna straight up fall over and just fall asleep on the floor. Like I'm gonna fall over and fall asleep. That's how tired it feels like. If I'm overstimulated, um, then I feel like I can feel my eyes just starting to get tired, and I'm just like, I'm gonna fall asleep, like just sitting here. So I was taking a nap every day. When I started going to vestibular therapy, we worked on finding a happy medium where I'm not taxing my brain to the point that I get pain. I have the 1 to 10 scale, and I was going up to an 8 or 9 and then sleeping for 4 hours. So instead, now I only let myself, when I can, I mean, I try really hard to only let myself get to a 5 pain on the pain scale, and then I rest. So the difference between sleep and rest. I didn't realize that I could rest my brain without sleeping. And I just wanted to do as much as possible, and then I would just pass out. I wanted to live my life as a normal person, like I did before my stroke, during the day, and then I would pass out for the second half of the day. And that was not healthy for me, and I wasn't progressing at all. So now I try to just rest, but there are some days that I just need to sleep. And yesterday was one of them. Yesterday I woke up, I went to my 2 AA meeting. Actually, I don't even think I went to my second AA meeting. And then I just went back to sleep and slept until like 10:30. So I'm really grateful that I have the flexibility to do that. But it's not my most, I mean, in a perfect world for me, I would not be sleeping. I would be normal, and I would be able to do whatever I want. But I am grateful that I get to sleep, and I do love to sleep, but sometimes I feel like it takes away from me getting to enjoy life. Like it takes away several hours of the day that I could be doing something. And you guys know that I'm a mover and a shaker. So, I think I'm having like these I'm losing my train of thought because I'm recording at 9:45 at night. I think that's our problem today. I had been recording earlier in the day, so my apologies for that. I'll try to be better. Whatever. Have to apologize or be better. Um, so anyway, naps are essential for me. Sometimes I have to do it. And I don't beat myself up about it. I don't feel sorry for myself. I just do it. I've gone through over a year of being like, I don't want to take a nap. I want to be normal. I want to be fun. It's acceptance. This is me now. If I need to sleep, I'm gonna sleep. And in sobriety, when we first get sober, I don't think we we value sleep enough in early sobriety. I think we're very confused in early sobriety about what do normal people do. Because I was like, well, I usually go to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning. Like, I started to try to go to bed at midnight, and then I'm like, well, this isn't working because the time between like 9 p.m. and midnight, I'm just thinking about drinking the whole time because that was when I drank the most. So I quickly shifted my schedule so that I was going to bed like at 8:30. I going to bed meaning I'd go upstairs, and if I don't read, I listen to my audiobooks, but I start my routine for sleep at 8:30, and that works for me. But here we are in the present day. And you know what I do now? I don't want to go to sleep. It's weird. It's weird lately. Um, Over the past year, I have all day, except for times when I have to nap. But why is it that that I'm staying up and not wanting to go to sleep today? I'm not drinking. I actually have a bowl of cantaloupe here. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating cantaloupe. Don't think that I'm healthy because I also have a Twix bar and a Crunch bar. There's two of each sitting beside me, and a bowl of Jolly Ranchers. I'm terrible. But why do I want to stay awake? I don't have the answer to that. You know, I don't have the answer to that. Why do I still do that? It's the same as my friend. Like, why don't I want to go to sleep? Because once I get in my bed, I'm like, this is so good. And I turn on my Calm app. I listen to a meditation and then I go to sleep. Um, there's a lot of reasons. Like if I were to just name a couple, I would say getting up in the morning is hard for me. Um, I'm learning how to get up with a plan. You guys know that I talk a lot about how when I wake up in the morning, I remind myself, you're an alcoholic, you're a recovering alcoholic, you're a stroke survivor, you have a vestibular disorder, you're disabled, and then I have to get up. Like, I immediately have to get up when I remember my disability, when I remember how difficult it is to do what I'm doing right now. Um, I can't, the reason why I look over the laptop is because I can't look at the laptop. It hurts. It hurts my head. Um, I know I move my eyes around a lot. It's something that I try to work on while I'm talking, but I just really have an issue moving my eyes around. And that, when I move my eyes around, then it causes my head to get dizzy. And then it causes the pain to start. And then I start having a hard time remembering and finding words. It all like is connected. When I wake up in the morning, I remember this. I remember this stuff that's hard. And I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do another day like this. I don't want to walk my dog and feel sick 4 or 5 times a day. I don't want to make dinner and be stirring the dish and have to ask my husband to take over because I'm starting to feel sick because the spoon stirring the dish is making me sick because it's movement. For those of you who are new, um, movement makes my head hurt, whether it's me seeing things move or me moving my eyes or me moving my head. It all makes me sick. It gives me a headache. I have daily migraines and headaches. It makes me nauseous. And there has not yet been a medication that makes it better or even slightly better. I just increased another medication to see if it is going to be working, or get better. But I don't want to wake up because I don't want to do this again. I think that's why. Um, and I end up like sitting up and I'm doing little crafts and stuff that don't hurt my head. So I know I'm taking longer than normal, but I'm just thinking out loud as to why I might not want to go to bed. Um, what is it that I'm avoiding, you know? Um, so I'm talking about it out loud because this might be a great time for you to think about, um, do you stay up late or do you have a sleep schedule? Are there times when you're avoiding going to bed? Is it because you don't want to get up and go to work tomorrow? Like that's the one I've lived with is I don't want to get up and go to work tomorrow. This is different now. This is more like I'm avoiding something, like I was when I was drinking. And that means I'm not, it's unhealthy for me to be avoiding something. And so I'm going to be gentle with myself, but the topic really resonates with me today. And this is the perfect time for me to be staying up until 11 o'clock to get this episode uploaded when I'm talking about sleep. So anyway, I'll let you go and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.